three buildings. Sorry about that. Okay, so the first one I'm going to show you is the first house that we did, the first freestanding house. We do a lot of renovation work, a lot of residential, and now just starting to get into more freestanding houses. This one we actually completed in 2009, and it's a block in Lawn on the Great Ocean Road. And there's sort of several large eucalypt trees clustered around the southeastern end of the block, which you can sort of see through here, offering a treed streetscape context to the site. So the trees were to be retained as far as possible, and their relationship with the building emphasised internally and externally. The building's curved path, which you can see through here, between the main living and the main bedroom, stretches itself around the trees, deferring to their presence. Views to the ocean were to be considered on equal terms with the views to and through the trees, which is something that is in opposition with a lot of other residential developments in Lawn, where they're continually just chopping down the trees for the ocean views. So the house accommodates the main living and bedroom areas facing the views, which is the front of their house here, with a rear area containing 2 bedrooms and a second living additional bedroom for their 2 adult daughters, which is through here. The courtyards and decks, which you can see through here and around here, and also inserted through here, are inserted between the zones to provide areas of congregation for the family at different times of the day, with differing amounts of privacy from the street and their neighbours. The building's relationship with the trees offers an important lesson in accepting working with external influences. The tree's presence is constant, yet varies both internally and externally. Internally, the walls between the spaces also stretch themselves in 3 dimensions as they move around the trees. Each joinery element between these spaces reinforces the tension through their form. The impact of the building's relationship with the trees from both the street, as well as views of the trees from the interior, and the light they cast on and within the house creates a balanced relationship between the built form and its natural surroundings, which in turn is continually evolving as the trees grow and the light changes. The second house is one of our renovation projects, and it's quite a very modest budget, and it was done in 2 stages for economy. The first stage was actually the main extension, which is this plywood box on the back here, very, very simple, which contained the new living, kitchen and bathrooms. And the stage 2, which is what I'm going to talk about mainly, is this one here, was actually built by the owner, and so we had to design accordingly. And it's a pergola structure which connects the extension with the garden. Pattern making is a common design activity in our office, and with patterns often developed as a planning tool or even a social study system, which we did in the Venice Biennale, or a facade or simple screen system. In each instance, the pattern is referenced to its surrounding context, in this case, the lattice work of the original house. But at the same time as we were doing this design, we were in the process of building a cake for the Baking Architecture exhibition as part of the State of Design Festival. This is where we were paired with leading Melbourne chefs to build architecture out of food. Peter Madison was also involved in this exhibition. The process of making our architecture in icing allowed us to explore the possibilities of using the negative offcuts as the cutting or embossing tool for a positive template. On the house, the offcuts from the laser cut template were then applied to the main extension, creating a negative mould of the perforated template, strengthening the dialogue between the 2 structures, as well as minimising material wastage. The pergola referenced the main extension in its materiality, using the same plywood cladding. However, this was then laser cut with a digital pattern to create a visually permeable membrane, which allowed the light and ventilation to penetrate the pergola. Another important consideration was the fact that the client nor any of his friends or visitors use the front door. The eastern path has long been the preferred entry to the house, the tradition of which was to be maintained while still being discreet. The decorative sidewalls celebrate the traditional path, and visitors and residents alike now have a clearly defined sense of entry, while still adequately concealed from passers-by. The changing filtered light offers an intriguing connection from the exterior from the interior, offering access to sunlight while protecting the interior from its harsh rays. The pattern is continually shifting as the light moves from east to west across the facades, creating a dynamic interior to the pergola. And the pergola is lit from within the framing, offering a new perspective on the pergola as it transitions from day to night. And the last project I'm going to show you is our first sort of commercial project that is currently in the sort of early design stages. It has ties to the laser cutting techniques that you've just seen in the last project, as well as connections to the tree houses. It's for the same client, and in fact the 5th project we've undertaken for him. And in this instance, it's his workplace, and the project being a renovation and extension to a group of orthopaedic surgeons' rooms at Knox Hospital. The existing rooms we'd already renovated a few years back, and they were to remain intact, with the new offices, reception, meeting rooms and consulting rooms to the north, which you can see in yellow. Now, what interests us with the orthopaedics is its symbiotic relationship with building. The tools, the processes and the language of the orthopaedic surgeon is incredibly similar to that of a carpenter. We decided to emphasise the parallels between both disciplines in the built form, referencing both the tools and the human structure they are applied to in the built form of the facade. The symbols developed of the surgeon's materials and tools are then layered over the front facade. Transparent films and laser-cut recycled plastic are the materials proposed to create the depth. By day, the facade offers glimpses of the forms within the layers, obscuring and abstracting the surgeon's tools behind the bony fins. The effect internally is a light play of soft diffused shadows which are constantly shifting as the light changes. But by night, the backlit facade presents an X-ray-like effect, which is another tool that the orthopaedic surgeon is so reliant on, and creates an interplay between the second and third dimensions. The concept offers intriguing possibilities as we now start developing the interiors. And finally, my favourite building is very hard to choose. I don't think there's just one, but I've decided to select the St Kilda Public Library, both stages. So the original, because it's a constant source of inspiration for me in my approach to renovations, and a building that I actually use on a very regular basis with my family. The original building, the Brutalist building, which you can see on the left here and down here, which is absolutely beautiful, was by Enrico Taglietti in the 70s. And the second stage by Ashton Raggett McDougall, which is the book that you see here, was added in the 1990s. So the new additions respectfully retains the original building, but it extends it while offering a presence of its own. The two coexist as independent elements while presenting themselves in constant dialogue through form and detail, resulting in a rigorously cohesive renovation. Thank you.